Hi, I'm Marshall Cohen with Antonini & Cohen Immigration Law Group. Today I'd like to speak about the marriage interview. Now, we are going to do a mock interview that will cover a lot of the details, but in this video I just want to give you a very high-level summary of the interview. So, the marriage interview is conducted when you are filing for a green card for adjustment of status inside the United States, and it's based on marriage between a U.S. citizen and a foreign national. You submit the applications, which include the forms I-130 and 485 and other forms. You submit it with evidence of the marriage, and then you'll receive a biometrics notice where the foreign national is fingerprinted, and then you'll receive an interview notice. Now, the most important thing to know before the interview is that you must review your application. One of the things that will result in a denial is if your oral answers to the questions at the interview differ significantly from the information contained in the forms. You should go over the forms in detail with your attorney before the interview. And your attorney should go with you to the interview. If your attorney goes with you to the interview and does not open their mouth during the interview, that means things generally are going well. If the attorney has to interject in the interview, that means there's an issue. Now, what does the interview consist of? The interview consists of a review of all the information that you've given to the officer, that you've submitted to CIS. This will include the forms, the Form I-130 visa petition, and the Form I-485 application to adjust status, along with all the documentary evidence that you've submitted, such as joint bank statements, joint credit cards, joint insurance, and things like that to show that you and your spouse are making a life together. Now, typically in the interview, the officer will first interview, you'll be in there together with your attorney, and the officer will first question the U.S. citizen on the Form I-130. This is the visa petition that the U.S. citizen signed. The purpose of that form is to show that the marriage is legally valid, that it was entered into legally under the laws of the place where it was executed, and that all previous marriages have been terminated through death, divorce, or annulment. Then the officer will typically start interviewing the foreign national on the Form I-485. That's the form to get a green card. Now, that form contains a lot of questions, and it's very long. Some of the questions are very odd, and that's the reason that you should cover that you should review that application in detail before you go in. Some of the questions include, have you ever trafficked in weapons? Have you ever recruited someone under the age of 15 to engage in an armed conflict? Have you ever trafficked anyone for sex? Are you a prostitute? Have you ever profited off prostitution? These are questions that don't normally come up in normal conversations. So if the first time you hear these questions is in a CIS interview, your mind's going to race and it's going to be uncomfortable. That's why you really need to go over the application in detail before you go into the interview.